Hey, this is Allie Edwards, and welcome to a process video for Project Life 2020. I am back again with another 9 by 12 album for 2020, and I will be documenting this monthly, just like I did for 2019. What I am starting out with today in this video is my title page. Mixing it up in terms of how I do the title page this time. You can see I've got a clear plastic graphics sheet there. That's what I was pulling had a piece of plastic actually on top of it. Pulled that off, punched some holes. I've got the link below. You can find those plastic sheets on Amazon, and they're a great way to create transparencies and or see-through pages in your projects. Now, next up, what you're going to see here is I am diving into my stash of numbers, my current number stash, chipboard, cork, plastic, and I'll also be pulling out some stickers, some chipboard, because I decided I wanted to do just a big, fun collage essentially, or a fun gathering of a bunch of 20s. Since it's 2020, super fun to play around with this. I wanted to have a mix of larger numbers and smaller numbers. And when I first started out, as you can see here, I was just kind of thinking, what do I want this to look like? How many do I want to add? How big do I want these to be? Those are all some of the questions that I was asking myself in the beginning. This is a great way to use your stash if you haven't considered it before. Any sort of thing like this where you are kind of going all out. This is not the minimalist approach. The minimalist approach would be like one of those 2020s on there, right? Which would look super cool and be beautiful. But I guess I was kind of going for more the maximalist approach and really wanting to just use up a bunch of the things that I have. And numbers are something that I really enjoy having. So you are going to see products here from December Daily, which is often when we have a lot of different number options in the shop. Some of them are still available and some of them are not available. Some of them have been in kits. I just basically went into my collection of products and pulled out anything that was kind of related to numbers. So as I'm starting this process here, you saw that I did adhere down those stickers. So that as of right now, the only thing that's stuck down on there are those large white stickers. And I kind of wanted to wait a little bit to figure out exactly where were other things going to go. But once I kind of knew where my starting place was with the white 2020 larger stickers, then I just started peeling off the backs of those chipboards, adding them on. I left the inside of the chipboard zeros on a couple of them just because I like it. And then from here, I'm just literally going through the process of sticking things down and filling in spaces where I have space to fill it in. And you'll also see that I didn't do everything horizontally. Some of them I turned vertically. Some of them I had kind of going the other way. In a couple spots there, like that 2 that I just put down, there's not even a 0 to go along with it. It's just the 2. When you're doing something like this and you're adding a lot of something to a page to create a background or something, I always like to have things that interact with the edges. So in this case, you're going to see things that go off the edge, and then you'll see in the process where I go ahead and go in and trim those all off from the edge. I like having things that overlap and go over the edge. Small number stickers, those came in handy here. You may have, we have a bundle of these in the shop in a few different colors, and they are great for using in a variety of different projects. I also love these puffy number stickers. We do have a set of those. I think it's yellow and white and black maybe that's in the shop. There you'll find that link below as well. Like I said, some of these numbers are still available, some of them are not. Now that big 0, that was a big wood veneer 0, and that was from December Daily earlier this year, or excuse me, last year. And I decided with that one, I didn't have the 2 anymore, but I decided to just put the 0 on there because I liked the shape, right? Kind of this nice big oval shape, and I figured that I can probably put something else inside of it as I'm filling things in. I could have moved it up a little bit more too so that it didn't look like it was missing a 2, but in the end, I think it totally worked out just fine. There's an example there where I just there was like a forest green 2 I put down on the bottom, and it's just going off the edge, and you'll see me trim that later on as well. I also varied. Some of these overlap with each other and some of them don't. So I didn't take, I didn't feel like I had to do anything super specific in terms of following some consistent pattern with how I was laying down the numbers. Really, I kind of tried to spread color out, have things that were different colors in different areas of my page here. And again, having things that go off the edge too. And I'm also, as you'll see, it's kind of I started with some of the bigger things first, and then I'm going in and adding in some of those smaller number stickers there as well. You could do something like this with stars, with hearts, any of those common shapes that we use often. Just kind of fun way to, pull out all of your hearts and basically throw them down on the page. Anyway, it's a nice way to think about it, and something, it's something that you can choose to do from time to time with your own projects. So I'm getting closer to the end of this part, kind of trying to decide what else did I want to do. I did decide to put in another one of the puffy, just the super clean lined puffies in there. That's the black one. And I think I filled in a couple of other spots as well. Actually, here now is when I'm going through. So I'm turning it over, and I am just clipping off with my scissors the excess. So any place where the numbers were going off the edge. A couple of them, when I clipped them like that to the chipboard too, I needed to pick up the top part of it again and just put it back on top. For that large chipboard 0, I used Tim Holtz tiny attacher, or excuse me, not tiny attacher, his scissors that can really go through anything. And then I'm also using my the power punch to punch holes in that large chipboard 0. I did that in December daily as well. Totally like how this turned out. I think this is a super fun way to play with products that you have, or that maybe that you've had for a long time and you've been wanting to move them out of your stash. I felt a little bit like that with some of these, and that was fun. A fun way to remember that was something to do. I also added an Avery Index tab along the edge, and then used a rolling stamp to put in remember this is what it has on there. And then I also grabbed a couple other, I think the asterisks, or actually no, that what I ended up getting was from the Stories by the Month, the January Stories by the Month chipboard, there was a yellow star, and I added that on inside one of the 2020s. Next up, I am starting to work on January, and I'm kind of just thinking a little bit about what do I want to use for January. I know that I'm going to want to print out a full page photo. So here is my first photo. This is actually a photo that's going to go in January, and then in a minute here you'll see where I printed out a photo that is for the title page. So this one for January, I looked back through my photos and I picked out this one of some amaryllis that are finally blooming. They were ones that I planted back in November, and they bloomed in January, which was great in terms of just being this really nice bright spot for January. January is a crazy month for me because I had surgery, and so I spent a lot of the month recovering after that. So I don't have a ton of pictures for the month, which is fine, and had a good time kind of identifying what stories that I wanted to tell. To finish up my title page, you can see I was working a little bit on the title page and then a little bit on January. I printed out a photo that we took in November, one of my favorite photos that we took last year, of the kids jumping on the trampoline. I'm pretty sure that I used this in December daily, and it was on the back of our Christmas card too. But I wanted a full page photo, and I also wanted to do something really simple. So I've got that complex mixture of all of those numbers, and I wanted to turn the page and kind of have some breathing room. So I've got this photo of the kids with the sky that takes up more than half of the photo. And a lot of times when I'm taking pictures, I will look for opportunities to include more sky. In this one, I actually made the photo larger in Photoshop and then replicated the sky that was above the tree. So I just used, it's called a clone stamp, and you can use that to basically create more sky. And that's what I did in this case. And then after that, I decided I was going to add in a few of the chipboard pieces and some of the word phrase stickers to kind of create like a little poem that goes right in the middle of the page there. I love that idea of creating like a little poem or a sentiment stack with either word phrase stickers that you have in your stash or ones that come from a kit as well. I started collecting a few things for February. That's what you can see there, and they're just kind of sitting behind. But as I dive into January, some of the first things that I generally do are establish which of the cards, either the journal cards or the sentiment cards that I want to include. After that, I went ahead and I printed a couple 4x6 photos that were representative of the month, and I just picked out a few that I liked. And then I also printed out 3x4 photos. So I use an Epson PictureMate PM400 to print anything that's 4x6 and smaller. Sometimes when I have a lot of time and I'm not kind of a lazy memory keeper, lazy is not a good word for this. I am choosing to print my 3x4 photos individually on a 4x6 piece of paper, which means I am wasting photo paper. But for me, the process continues to be worth it in terms of just getting things printed and not having to mess around with putting 2 photos onto a background, especially if I'm not opening these photos in Photoshop. Most of these photos I'm printing directly from my photo management program to my printer and not messing with them in Photoshop. So a lot of information regarding the photos. It doesn't really matter how you get them printed. I just want you to print them and then stick them in the pockets like you can see me doing here. So almost always when I have an insert, the insert is what is between two bigger 9x12 pages. I almost always include an Avery index tab. I just like that for turning the pages. I grabbed one of the January cards from the January Stories by the Month kit. That kit is gone for now. It may appear in a past kit sale coming up. We'll have another one in May, but we do have a digital version available of this kit if you like the designs and you want some of these same cards in your own project. Stories by the Month is a monthly subscription that you can join. Right now we have the March kit available. So if you sign up now, you would start with the March kit. Obviously, depending on when you watch this, that would be different, but I'll put a link below that you can check that out. I've been waiting forever to use this. This was hard. Large wood veneer piece. I think it was from maybe the Tough Story kit. It was one from sometime in the last couple of years. So I was super excited to literally just add adhesive to the back of that, and then I put it on top of the photo, and you'll see that pop back up again here. But I was super excited to use that one. When I'm approaching Project Life in this monthly format, what I've tried to do is a lot of times use the Stories by the Month kit and or things from my stash. The other thing that just jumped up really quickly right there was how I decided to do journaling for this month. So I took a 3x8 piece of cardstock and I rolled some paint on it, just a piece of a little bit of pink paint. I rolled it on there and then I ran that through my typewriter to get the type on top of my journaling. There you can see it as I'm sliding it in there. I've kind of been dipping my toes back and doing art journaling again and playing around with more paints and having them out and available. So that was a really fun way to incorporate just a little bit of that into this month's storytelling. On the back of that journaling, the 3x8 journaling, I added 2 story cards, or 2 cards from the story kit, the Stories by the Month kit, the January Memories and Bring on the New Stories. I added those 2, and then, as you can also see on my desk there, is a super fun set of rainbow puffy stickers from Ellie's Studio. And I ordered those, and as soon as I got them at my house, I started putting them on things. So a lot of times when I'm doing something like this, I like to just add them to almost all of the photos. And I didn't add them to all of them, but I did add them to a lot of them. So I like how that's kind of one of the unifying elements that I am playing around with this month. And you also saw I stamped One Day at a Time on top of one of my photos, and I found the number 18 because Simon, my son, turned 18 this month, which is crazy to say that out loud. I grabbed a label sticker, I'm putting that on top of there, and then the 18 is stapled to the outside of the page protectors. Sometimes I'm working outside the page protectors, sometimes I'm working inside the page protectors. I do not care either way. either way is just fine. But on top of those rainbow puffy stickers, what I did do is take the black and white word phrase stickers from the January Stories by the Month kit, and I layered them on top. So a super fun way to add a little bit more context or a few more words or sentiments onto an embellishment that doesn't have any words on top. The word phrase stickers continue to be one of my most favorite and my most used products, so we will continue to make those. I added a puffy star sticker on top. I put the chipboard saying goodbye and saying hello onto the outside of the page protector on the Happy Brand New Year card there. And then right now I'm just going back through identifying where I put those puffy rainbow stickers and adding word phrases on top. So make sure to check out the blog post for this video because I have individual images, so you can check out the journaling. You can read that if you want to, with a little bit more information about some of the specifics here as well. Supply list is included there as always, but loved playing with those rainbow puffies, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding them onto the 4x6 photos as well. Totally looking forward to continuing with this monthly format for Project Life in 2020. I really liked doing it this way. Last year, I usually pick out a day, one day of the month where I work on the prior month and identify what kinds of stories that I want to tell. I'm not trying to tell every story in this project. I'm just picking ones that feel meaningful to me when I go back in and look at my photos. So really fun if you haven't tried doing this project monthly. It's a nice break if maybe you feel like you need a break. Lots of different ways to approach this. As always, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and we'll see you guys back here again next month for another Project Life spread.